Welcome to the Night Tube. I'm Stephen Knight, blogger and host of the Godless Spellchecker podcast. Some of you may have seen the fracas? Hang on a second. Some of you may have seen the confrontation between Tommy Robinson and staff at the headquarters of Quilliam. Quilliam's the anti-extremist think tank located in London. Just up front, I think it would be remiss of me not to mention I am a Quilliam supporter and member. That's not to say I agree with everything they do, and I think this will become apparent. I've also had Tommy Robinson on my podcast, and I'm one of those, despite my issues with him, that doesn't think he's a neo-Nazi, white supremacist, baby-eating goblin, or whatever the popular buzzwords are today surrounding him. Doesn't mean he's an angel either. Far from it. Even though I don't support him or follow his work or promote him in any way really, just being of the view that he's probably not literally Hitler will find you on the end of some pretty awful smears. Such is the toxicity of his reputation. Some of that is definitely earned, some of it isn't. There's a lot of history between Tommy Robinson and the founder of Quilliam, Maajid Nawaz. Long story short, Maajid and Quilliam facilitated the departure of Tommy Robinson from the English Defence League back in 2013, I believe, in the hope he would soften his rhetoric and work towards challenging the so-called domestic far-right as well as Islamist extremism. Needless to say, that didn't happen, and the discourse and relationship between them has soured pretty bad in recent years. Robinson now works for Rebel TV. I don't know a whole lot about them, but I do know I'm not really a fan of the output he's producing with them. He has this new shtick of doorstepping people he feels have defamed him or threatened him, either in print or online.
Accusation. I've just walked in, all the doors are open. Can you please justify it? Can one of you please tell me how I'm far right?
I don't know who you are, what you're
using propaganda to silence working class people, where anyone who criticises a fascist ideology you class as far right. What is far right about my views? That's all I want to know. Please, it's fine. Okay, so so no one's willing to sit down. We're all adults here. We're all adults here. Can we just sit down and discuss it?
I think this sort of quote-unquote journalism, if you can call it that, has a place in certain situations. See something like the BBC's Watchdog, for instance. But I just don't think Tommy Robinson's persona, temperament or reputation lends to this way of approaching people. He isn't media trained, of course. He's an activist, I suppose, with a significant following, and he appears to have just been handed this media job. Also, I don't trust the way Rebel Media edits their footage. For example, they put out this small preview clip of their confrontation at Quilliam HQ before they released the full video.
Am I a white supremacist?
I don't know, are you?
Imagine I wrote a national newspaper article and I said Adam Dean is a Muslim extremist. So
why do you think she might have described you as a white supremacist?
I have absolutely no idea, because she knows full well I'm not. No.
Have a guess.
Go on.
No, you have a guess. I'm asking the question. Why do you think?
Well, considering I only oppose Islam, I've never mentioned colour. In fact, the facts are that all white supremacists hate me. They want to kill me.
Do they?
Yeah, all of them.
Well, if you look at your Twitter timeline, they seem to quite a lot of them seem to be supporting you.
Really? As an example?
I didn't. Shame I left my phone downstairs.
Are you on about white supremacists, or are you on about people against Islam?
No, white supremacists.
Okay, so let me get the comment up. Which
are they no white supremacists that support
you've just brought up this morning the picture I put up of a Muslim. I'm going to show you now.
And look at what they say. That
So
no Muslim is that you can trust any Muslim.
No Muslim. So what's that got to do with white supremacists? Someone saying don't trust a Muslim. You've just countered with. You've just said that could explain white supremacy.
No. See, you need to calm down a little bit. You seem to be jumping here.
If I wore a tie, and I spoke in a different accent, would I then be able to criticise Islam without being called a white supremacist?
Okay.
In my world, the Prophet Muhammad was a warmongering, violent paedophile.
But that's your view.
No, that's not my view. That's Ibn Ishaq's biography of Muhammad.
Yes, but not.
And that's the most renowned biography of Muhammad in the Islamic world.
Written when?
Was the Prophet Muhammad an Islamist?
No. You should do some reading.
So what is an Islamist?
An Islamist, from what I can see, is an over-politicised version of Islam that wants to coerce society with its ideals.
And you don't think the Prophet Muhammad did that?
No, I don't think he did that, no. But tell me
you said that with a straight face. You said that with a straight face. You don't think the Prophet Muhammad did that? And you talk about reading history.
Perhaps.
I think that adequately demonstrates an agenda-driven motive of this particular group. So why is Tommy Robinson so angry with Quilliam this time?
So today we're going to an organisation called Quilliam. And the reason I'm going there is one of their leading researchers, a lady called Julia. She's wrote an article yesterday in The Guardian where she declares I'm a white supremacist. And what winds me up is these people who work in organisations like Quilliam, because they're from a different class to me, because they wear a tie, they say exactly the same as me. But because I'm working class, I'm frowned upon, I'm deemed, we're called white supremacists, racist, bigots, for saying exactly the same. And that comes down to a class issue we have in the UK. So I'm literally just going to walk in there and ask her to justify her accusation. And it's about time that any journalists writing stories across the UK who wish to demonise and silence criticism coming out of the working class have to deal face to face with the person they're talking about.
Okay, so who's Julia, and did she call Tommy Robinson a white supremacist? Julia Ebner is a senior researcher at Quilliam who recently wrote an article in The Guardian about far-right extremism, the title being "The Far Right Thrives on Global Networks, They Must Be Fought Online and Off." Reasonable sentiments, and as you know, The Guardian is a very large, well-known media platform. So, did she call him a white supremacist? Julia categorically says no.
I did not say that you are a white supremacist at any... No, I did not say that. You can read the exact article.
Fed up with people like yourself
You're in a
calling me
service
white
office.
supremacist.
I did not call you specifically a white supremacist. I said that you are attracting people who are of all kinds.
No, this is
Please
about
go
you saying in the national newspaper that I am a white supremacist.
I
That's
did
what
not
this is
say
about.
that you are a white
Yes, you did.
supremacist.
I'll show you what you said. Let's go.
But did she call him a white supremacist? The answer is no, but she definitely did. The relevant paragraph in The Guardian related to Tommy Robinson doesn't explicitly call him a white supremacist. This is true, insofar as there's no text saying things like white supremacist Tommy Robinson, or white pointy hat robe wearing KKK enthusiast Tommy Robinson, or Tommy Robinson is a massive white supremacist. It doesn't directly say any of those things. What the relevant paragraph does say is this: that the far right has moved from the fringe into the mainstream demonstrate the massive support that white supremacist movements have attracted from digital natives. Their online followership often exceeds that of mainstream political parties. With over 200,000 followers, Tommy Robinson's Twitter account has almost the same number of followers as Theresa May's. That's the British Prime Minister, for the uninitiated. Now, it's not unreasonable in my view. In fact, I'd be amazed if you did read that and not conclude Tommy Robinson was being called a white supremacist. In the paragraph in question, in order to argue the growing popularity of far-right ideology, Julia makes the claim that many white supremacists have a bigger social media following than some political movements. And she finishes this point by offering up Tommy Robinson's social media numbers as an example. Now, the fact that when confronted by Robinson, Julia denies that she called him a white supremacist rather than attempts to defend the charge leads me to believe it was probably just disastrously sloppy writing rather than an attempt to defame, but I am in a charitable mood. I completely agree with Quilliam's point of view, however, that trespassing and intimidating staff is inexcusable, but regardless of what was written about Robinson here, the larger issue is whether his tactics were either ethical or constructive in any way, shape or form. My answer is categorically no. Now, this is Adam Dean. Adam is a researcher at Quilliam. As an aside, I've been a little bit on the fence about Adam in the past, given some of his statements. Before joining Quilliam, he had some really odd things to say about circumcision and some pretty derogatory things to say about ex-Muslims. But to be fair, every time I've seen him make a public appearance since, he talks a lot of sense, and I find myself nodding in agreement. So his views appear to have progressed, and you can't do anything but welcome that, really.
Can't bang her up.
So you haven't got an appointment?
No.
Okay, so do you mind coming this way?
All right.
This way?
Yeah.
Come.
You don't want to talk? Yeah. You know.
So Tommy has clearly been asked to leave by Adam. Quite clearly he's been shown the door and they are now outside. Also, again, notice those strategically placed jump cuts in such a short period of time.
My views.
Tommy Robinson.
Yeah, so you know my views. Am I a white supremacist?
I don't really know your views in totality, no.
Everyone knows my views. I despise racism. I've never said it. What narrative would fit me into being a white supremacist?
Sorry, are we having an interview here?
Oh, right, no, I want to wait here to speak to Julia.
No, Julia's not going to come out until I say so.
Okay, well, Julia can say so, or I'm going to think it's. Imagine I wrote a national newspaper article and I said Adam Dean is a Muslim extremist.
Yeah.
How would you feel about that?
Well, I feel a bit disappointed.
Jump cuts in documentary filmmaking are not entirely beyond the pale, of course, but the sheer frequency here, especially during a conversation which is also a disagreement, and this lively and depends on the impartial observer hearing both sides, just sets off alarm bells straight away. So this next part is interesting. Tommy decides to just enter the building of his own accord. We've already had a jump cut which erases Adam Dean's departure from this confrontation. What was said? Was it reiterate that Tommy wasn't to enter the building? Why aren't we shown Adam Dean leaving? What did he say before returning to the building? And look at Robinson here. He's literally sneaking like Solid Snake. He knows he's trespassing. He knows if he's spotted the game is up. In short, he knows he's crossing a line. And is anyone else as concerned as I am about the security of an organisation that is, receives legitimate threats from the far right and Islamist extremists? I think they may wish to look into that. As you can see, a member of the Quilliam staff that he passes on the stairs can clearly be heard asking Tommy to leave.
Can you go back out?
Tommy just speeds up. This isn't a public place, remember, it's a private place of employment. Now, of course, Trust's the only woman in the thick of things to make everyone else look like silly little boys. Julia Ebner, who's, let's not forget, responsible for writing the article, remains calm and composed here in the face of what, I have to say, seems like a pretty intimidating confrontation.
Premises.
I did not say that you are a white supremacist at any... No, I did not say that. You can read the exact article.
I'll read you it now. It doesn't mean you can start assaulting him. It doesn't mean you can start assaulting him. I'm just wondering, why are you grabbing...
No rape!
Why are you breaking, now you're breaking his camera? Why are you breaking his camera? I need to ask a simple question.
Why are you here, mate?
I need to ask a simple question.
No, you're welcome to film outside. Come.
What's the matter? What's the matter? What have you got to hide?
Excuse me.
What have you got to hide?
Please.
Why are you trying to break his camera? Why are you trying to break his camera? Why are you trying to break his camera? Why are you trying to break? Why have you broken his camera? Let's go upstairs and talk. Come on, Julia. Get your hand off me. Julia, let's go upstairs. Come on, Julia. Let's go upstairs. Let's go upstairs, Julia. Because I'm fed up with people like yourself calling me white supremacists.
I did not call you specifically a white supremacist.
Yes,
I said that you are attracting people who are of all kinds of
Want me to show you
far-right extremist views.
Are you breaking his camera? Did you just try and break his camera? Why have you tried to break his camera? Why are you trying to break his camera?
Touch my equipment!
Why are you trying to break his camera? Why are you trying to break his camera?
You can't help but feel if Tommy and the Rebel TV crew had just reached out to her up front for an interview rather than waltzing into their offices. Were she willing, more constructive dialogue could have been had here. Okay, so it appears there is a scuffle. We don't really get to see what goes on exactly, but Rebel TV's approximation of it is clearly stated. It appears someone, probably Adam Dean, is attempting to damage or remove equipment that is in possession of the crew. I don't think this is ever a good move. Keep in mind, if Adam had done everything else he does in this short video except attempt to do whatever he's attempting to do with this crew's equipment, then he comes out of the entire scenario looking like the good guy, and Rebel Media pretty much have nothing. Based on this something and nothing physical altercation, Rebel TV now have some ammo and want you to believe that Quilliam are violent thugs. Now, I don't really know the legality of this sort of thing, so I'm not sure what your rights are if people enter private property, your place of employment, start getting in your personal space, thrusting cameras and microphones in your face. I don't think it would be unreasonable to suggest this is physical intimidation on the part of Rebel TV's crew. Whether or not you have the right to respond with grabbing equipment and shoving under the guise of self-defense or reasonable force, I just don't know. I doubt I would have responded this way myself, or at least I hope I wouldn't, and I really don't think Adam Dean did Quilliam any favours here. This is how one crew member described the confrontation. He thinks Quilliam should now be classed as a terror group. I think it may have been a day for hyperbole, to be honest. In Quilliam's official statements after the incident, they accused Robinson of storming their offices. Hyperbole is the worst thing ever. So this nonsense goes on for a while. I don't think it would be unfair of me to suggest Tommy Robinson is closer to John Sweeney in his approach than Louis Theroux. His way of speaking out rather than to people really doesn't go any way towards persuading people to listen or converse with him.
You are the one who is touching
Can
me.
you please
You
just
are the one who
Why are you breaking his camera? Why are you
camera?
breaking his camera?
Can you please just
Why are you trying to break his camera?
Go away from the
Can we go upstairs and talk?
Yeah, come on. Can you please just go upstairs?
My camera's still rolling. Adam, my camera's still rolling. That doesn't make no difference here, mate.
Please, come on.
So Adam is trying to remove this person from private property. Again, I don't know what the law is here, but it seems to me if someone trespasses on private property, gets in your physical space and refuses to leave, I imagine you can use reasonable force to make them leave. Adam doesn't appear to be seeking physical confrontation, it just appears that he wants them gone. This resembles a form of shepherding or some sort of sporting tactic rather than overt, aggressive violence. But I don't know anything about the law in this area, so if there are any UK law buffs watching this, feel free to clear up in the comments section. What rights do the Quilliam staff have here, if any? Personally, I think the wise move would have been to just sit tight and wait for the police to arrive. Having successfully removed an uninvited trespasser, the cameraman in this instance, from his place of employment, it now seems Adam Dean is being prevented from leaving the office himself.
With the whole base of white supremacists.
That's
Sorry,
what
mate.
they said.
Look, I need to get out of the place, please. You're blocking my exit. You're not blocking my exit at all. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. You can get past me. Lock the door.
Do you agree?
You're blocking my exit. I'm not blocking my exit.
Julia just said she's happy to talk. Let's go upstairs and talk.
Yourself a white
I need to get
supremacist,
to
and you know
that door.
we've
You can
been
get to that door very
talking
easily.
about- No,
Thank you. Thank you for
I did never mention.
I think what's clear at this point is the Rebel TV crew aren't interested in dialogue here. They're interested in getting a gotcha on film. They want to make Quilliam look bad. They want to cause controversy. I do think Tommy Robinson has been treated unfairly by the press and indeed the state on occasion in the past. I'd imagine most of the mainstream pretty much considers him an anti-Muslim extremist thug, and I also wonder how he hopes to change people's perceptions about that when people see footage of him trespassing a predominantly Muslim place of employment acting a bit like, well, a thug. These are similar tactics to nefarious groups like Britain First who have filmed themselves entering mosques trying to provoke a reaction. People in this organisation, Britain First, have had their tweets shared and endorsed by Tommy Robinson too. So, as you can see, this entire confrontation has wielded precisely zero value for any impartial observer. No conversation is being had. We're now watching an argument over a missing battery pack. What is the goal here from Rebel TV and Tommy? It's clearly not to engage with Quilliam, but to punish them, to make them look bad. Tommy feels aggrieved, and perhaps he has every right to do so, but this way of engaging in these type of tactics do nothing to help his case. So the police are called and it all gets incredibly boring from here. Now, notice the change of tone and demeanour in Robinson as he speaks to the police. He's obviously had plenty of practice. He's calm, he's non-confrontational, he's reasonable, there's no smearing or smugness. It's a shame that was nowhere to be seen in his interactions with the Quilliam staff.
Right, okay. So what are you guys doing here?
So I come here to speak to Julia,
Okay.
one of the employees here, because she wrote an article in a national newspaper that calls me a white supremacist. So
Right,
I've just
okay.
come to... Do you want me to read you the article, Julia? You need to speak to the newspaper if that's not what you said.
Okay.
So yeah, so I've come here. We haven't come here aggressively. We've come here very calmly. We took a walk down, and then when we've tried to ask questions, they've assaulted him. They've grabbed
assaulted
the
me.
camera.
They've broken my camera. They've broken parts from my camera.
The video ends with a little outtake. I could be wrong, but this appears to be a random member of the public and sneaks up behind Robinson to share his opinion.
Newspaper.
This cunt.
Tommy sees the humour in it, but I think something can be read from it. That sort of reaction to the mere sight of Tommy Robinson encapsulates the general feeling towards the man in many circles. I'm not saying Robinson doesn't have support, he has tons, but unless he takes care with his rhetoric and his tactics he employs to get his message across, people on the fence about him are never going to offer their support. In conclusion, don't imply someone is a white supremacist unless you're willing to back it up, and don't go trespassing into private property to harass employees. Thanks for listening. Please click on subscribe. You can find my podcast and blog at gspellchecker.com.